Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com. By Feather Snap, the smart bird feeder with a high-resolution camera and species identification software aimed to educate and spread joy to every level of avian enthusiast. Learn more at feathersnapcam.com.
And by Vortex Optics, with the VIP warranty, their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to our show number 1018. Quick update on the journey of the bald eagle to official national bird status. On Christmas Eve, President Joe Biden signed into law Senate Bill 4610, sponsored by Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, officially designating the bald eagle as the national bird of the United States. Thanks to Jim Randolph for first alerting us to the story. Last week we heard part one of Scott McMorrow's audio postcard from high above Tomales Bay, California, where he was taking part in a shorebird survey for Audubon Canyon Ranch. He described the great egrets, great blue herons, western sandpipers, and dunlin he was seeing. So let's pick up from there with part 2. Here's Scott.
So we're overlooking the mudflats, and it's gorgeous. The backdrop is the wooded mountain range of the Inverness Ridge, and there's spartina grass everywhere and bright sunshine, and it's really lovely. Audubon Canyon Ranch has been doing this work for over 30 years. A recent analysis of this long-term data sadly shows that shorebirds are on the decline here in Tomales Bay, and today there are several groups of us up and down on both sides of the bay taking the census, and we will do this another dozen times before the new year. The beauty of this project is, your listeners don't know this, but I am in a wheelchair, and I'd been casting about looking for some volunteer work, and I was having difficulty until Audubon Canyon Ranch got back to me. And so I have someone help me out to Bivalve. That's the area we're at. You won't find it on any maps or anything. It's what the locals call it. So I set up and I hang out and I count birds with my friends. I highly recommend that any of your listeners that might want to get involved in this kind of work simply contact some local conservation organizations like Audubon or what have you in your area and ask them that you want to help. Well, my colleagues are looking at me kind of strange because it looks as if I'm sitting over here and talking to myself. So I'm going to cut it there. And have a great day, everyone. Happy birding.
Happy birding to you, Scott, as well. They're high above Tomales Bay, California, near San Francisco. We love getting audio postcards, and we know listeners love hearing them. So send us one. Grab your smartphone or borrow one and just record a description of what you're seeing or hearing, and then email the file to ray@talkingbirds.com. That's ray@talkingbirds.com. Meanwhile, quite a disturbing recent headline in the Washington Post and elsewhere. It reads, "Scientists just confirmed the largest bird-killing event in modern history." Researchers say that a marine heat wave in the Pacific Ocean that began a decade ago killed some 4 million common murres in Alaska. And even more distressingly, the researchers say the populations of common murre have not been recovering. Another tragic result of the effects of a warming planet. Let's balance that off with some good news, not about birds, but about a butterfly, the monarch, which has undergone a dramatic population decline in recent years. The news is that U.S. Fish and Wildlife has moved to protect the monarch under the Endangered Species Act. If the proposed rule to designate the monarch as threatened with extinction is finalized, the monarch would become one of the most widespread species ever protected under that 1973 law. But federal scientists say the move is necessary because several factors, including climate change, logging in the butterfly's overwintering habitat in Mexico, destruction of grasslands in the United States, and chemicals applied to plants and insects, are decimating its population. Mystery bird contest later in the show. Here's the mystery bird. This is a little preview of the contest, which we'll do a little bit later, but we'll give you some clues now so you'll be ready for it. Our mystery bird is a small songbird with a rusty brown crown, a gray head, and a rust-colored eye stripe. It has 2 white wing bars and a rather long tail, a rusty brown back with dark streaks, buff-colored sides, and a gray belly with a small dark spot in the center. Our bird breeds all across northern Canada and Alaska and winters throughout most of the lower 48 U.S. states, as far south as northern Arizona and Texas and Alabama. Despite its name, it usually nests on the ground and forages on the ground for insects in summer, dried seeds in winter. Beautiful prizes include that Squirrel Solution 150 feeder from Brome Bird Care. It's genuinely squirrel-proof and chew-proof as well and easy to clean. Even features a vented seed tray to keep the seed fresh and dry. And we have a $25 gift certificate for Bird Collective, the one-stop shop for vintage-inspired apparel and unique accessories, all featuring birds. Prizes and all the other parts there of our Mystery Bird contest coming along just a little bit later. We love our listeners, and especially we love our Talking Birds ambassadors who really get the word out about our show and about what we're trying to promote, birds and conservation. We thank Lori Gale from Long Beach, California. She says her daughter and she visited Cape Cod, including a stop at the Birdwatchers General Store in September. She says, I'm happy to spread the word about the podcast. We're going to ask Mike if he was available when Lori visited the store there. Still to come today, that same Mike O'Connor will join us for Let's Ask Mike Live on the topic of a yard list, as maybe a New Year's resolution to keep a list of birds in your yard. This is kind of a cool idea. Also today, we'll talk with a guest from the Canadian province of Alberta, Ariane Inman, about how she provides folks with some amazing birding experiences while highlighting the indigenous culture of the area. And up next, our featured feathered friend is a bird that kept a seasonal secret for a very long time. Our featured feathered friend segments always include info about the seasonal grounds of our featured bird if it's a migratory species. Until recently, though, we wouldn't have been able to provide that for today's subject because its wintering area was unknown. The bird is the black swift, a mostly dark gray bird with the classic swift profile, resembling a flying cigar with long, sickle-shaped wings. It dances high in the sky, feasting on airborne insects, especially winged ants. Black swifts nest in sea caves and behind waterfalls in their breeding grounds, known to extend from southern Alaska to southern California and east to Montana and Colorado. But it wasn't until 2012 that this swift's wintering grounds in the lowland forests of western Brazil were discovered by 3 Colorado researchers using geolocation technology. And the wintering location discovery was a surprise, since there hadn't previously been any documented records of the black swift in Brazil. Breeding bird survey analyses have shown a severe decline in black swift populations, down by 90% since 1970, with special concern focused on British Columbia, where the bird traditionally occurred in its highest numbers. The reasons for the falling populations are still not completely understood, but Birds Canada says they're believed to be related to changes in insect food supply at one or more points in the bird's life cycle. It is well known that insect populations have also experienced severe declines due to causes including habitat destruction and the excessive use of pesticides. A group of swifts is collectively known as a box, a flock, a swoop, or a screaming frenzy of swifts. Today's Talkin' Birds featured feathered friend, Cyplosoides niger, the black swift. Welcome again to our show, number 1018. We met Ariane Inman when she signed up as an ambassador for our show. We then learned she leads bird walks in Alberta, Canada, where she lives, through her sustainable birding tour company called Bird Dreams that combines indigenous cultural experiences with birding in Alberta's unique ecosystems. And she's here with us from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Canada, to tell us more about all that. Good morning, Ariane.
Tanshi Ray.
Oh, there she is. You were playing hard to get there for just a moment, but all right, we have you now. So, Ariane, tell us a bit more about those walks, if you would, and how you weave those cultural experiences into the birding activity, and maybe a bit about the Métis culture of which you are a part.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ray. Yeah. So our company, it has evolved a little bit. Started out wanting to share some Indigenous cultures here in Alberta. Myself, I am Métis, and we are our own distinct people that we are a mixture of European settlers and Anishinaabe, Cree. I have been lucky the last few years to start learning my ancestral language of Michif, so I share some of that in our birding events. And we take people mainly into the Edmonton River Valley to a place called White Mud Park and teach beginner birding. And I love doing that. I love to share a way for people to connect more to nature in the place that they live. And my hope is not only that they really enjoy themselves and spend more time birding, but also that they then hopefully become more attached to these places and, you know, volunteer with local conservation groups, do habitat stewardship and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I like to share is in the Michif language, there's some fun bird words. And also in Michif, the word for respect is miutato, which means to see. So doing that outside in nature and looking at the birds is a really good experience.
Indeed. We talked before the show, Ariane, about the connection between biodiversity and the long history of Indigenous peoples. I wonder if you could expand a bit on how you see that relationship.
Sure. Yeah, I noticed that, Ray, in places in Alberta, which we're very lucky to have lots of national parks and UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and in these places where there's a long history of human habitation, there's also a lot of bird biodiversity. Like, for example, in Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, there's a little birding trail down by I call it a birding trail. It's a trail down by the Buffalo Jump, and there's so many different birds there to see. And it's very interesting when you look at the patterns of human migration and bird migration, and they all overlap. We have a close relationship with birds as human beings, and I like pointing that out to people.
So interesting. And I know you're always on the lookout for boreal chickadees. What are some of the other target species on your walks?
I think the boreal chickadee, that's one that we're always looking for. We see in the River Valley, we see bald eagles, we see common mergansers in White Mud Creek. We're always looking for warblers in the springtime, yellow warblers. We get orange crown warblers, all kinds of warblers in the springtime. That's my favorite. And a lot of woodpeckers in White Mud Park. It's an old growth forest, and that's a really cool thing to help people pay attention to, is the interrelationship of the birds and the forest, especially the year-round birds.
And you mentioned warblers, and this is a gigantic area, is it not, for warbler breeding?
Well, right where we are here, we're at the southern edge of the boreal forest. So this is the last largest remaining forest on Earth. And interesting fact is like 53% of the warblers that breed in North America, they breed in the boreal forest. So we're just right on the flight path here, and we get to see them all on their way. And there's a lot that breed here too.
Just amazing. And by the way, just to mention about the national parks, they're so famous and so long established and so large. Wood buffalo, for example, I figured this out with my little calculator that it's about 1/3 again bigger than our home state of Massachusetts. Just some amazing national parks there. That is such a huge area. Of course, Alberta. In general, and you have done walks there as well, right, in the national parks?
We did do a walk a few years ago in Jasper, and that's a really fun area for birding. Harlequin ducks, which I have not found yet, Barrow's goldeneye, loons, again, warblers in the springtime, violet-green tree swallows, and very close to us here, about maybe half an hour, 20 minutes from Sherwood Park, is we're lucky to have Elk Island National Park, where there are plains and wood bison, and we're hoping to do a bird walk there in the springtime.
Wonderful. We've been talking with Ariane Inman, and you can find out more about her wonderful birding and cultural excursion experiences. And correct me if I get any of this wrong, Ariane, but on Facebook it's Bird Dreams, is one word, and at Bird Dreams on Instagram. That sound about right? The best way for folks to follow you?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Ray. And I love sharing to all of our birding participants about talking birds.
Well, thank you for that as a Talking Birds ambassador, and a very enthusiastic one. We certainly appreciate that. And I'll attempt to say thank you in Michif, Ariane. Marcy, and happy birding.
Marcy, Ray.
Ariane Inman here on Talking Birds. Again, Bird Dreams is her wonderful company. Coming up next here, it's our Mystery Bird Contest in just 1 minute. The flutter of a tail feather, the flash of a wing bar in mid-flight. You don't always have a lot of time to identify a bird in nature, let alone to appreciate its beauty. But with Vortex Optics, you'll have the power to bring every wild moment closer. When you choose Vortex, you're choosing to have a partner in the field as passionate about nature as you are. Whether you're spotting old friends on the backyard feeder or packing for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to add a few species to your life list, Vortex offers a full range of optics and optics accessories for every birder and every budget. And whether the birds are taking you to another state or another country, you're always covered by the Vortex VIP warranty, an unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. If you'd like to learn more, or if you need help choosing your next optic, give Vortex a call at 1-800-4VORTEX or visit vortexoptics.com. That's our mystery bird, and this is the actual contest now. So we invite you to call in as soon as possible so that we have, that time to do the contest. And the number is right here, 781-837-4900. I'll repeat it in a moment. Our mystery bird is a small songbird with a rusty brown crown, a gray head, and a rust-colored eye stripe. It has 2 white wing bars and a rather long tail, a rusty brown back with dark streaks, buff-colored sides, and a gray belly with a small dark spot in the center. Our bird breeds all across northern Canada and Alaska and winters throughout most of the lower 48 U.S. states, as far south as northern Arizona and Texas and Alabama. And despite its name, it usually nests on the ground and forages on the ground for insects in summer and dried seeds in the winter. That's our bird, and the prizes include that beautiful brome squirrel solution, 150 feeder, genuinely squirrel-proof and chew-proof as well, and easy to clean, and features that vented seed tray to help keep the seed fresh and dry, which is kind of important. And we have that beautiful $25 gift certificate for Bird Collective. Vintage-inspired apparel and unique accessories, all featuring birds. So that's our thing on the Mystery Bird Contest, and that number again is 781-837-4900. Meanwhile, we have an appointment with Mike O'Connor. It's Let's Ask Mike live in just 1 minute.
Ready to take your backyard bird watching to the next level? FeatherSnap makes Wi-Fi-enabled smart bird feeders that blend the best of technology and nature. Get a high-def glimpse of your feathered friends with a top-of-the-line camera so every visitor can be seen with clarity and detail. A unique dual feeder bin helps attract more species, and built-in solar panels keep your camera's battery going strong. FeatherSnap's mobile app creates a truly immersive experience, allowing you to collect and organize your favorite pics and videos and earn badges along the way. FeatherSnap is a convenient and fun way to capture powerful images of your local birds and help get your friends and family excited about bird watching. Best of all, FeatherSnap offers expert-trained AI identification of more than 275 North American species, thanks to their in-house ornithologist. Check them out today at feathersnapcam.com. feathersnapcam.com.
Well, lots of folks are listers and can get pretty serious about it in terms of adding to their life list of birds that they see wherever they are, maybe all around the world in some cases. But your backyard is a pretty good place to keep a list. And I think Mike O'Connor will agree to that, since it was his idea to talk about that this morning. Good morning, Mike.
That was my idea.
It was your idea.
I came up with this by myself.
You did, yeah. I was going to try to claim credit for it, but I figured that wouldn't work out.
That's right. It's going to be my. We always think of new stuff to do for the new year, resolution, as they say. And I think some listeners, not all, but some listeners would do wise to keep a yard list. And I say that, like, sometimes people who keep lists gets a little clinical and less bird friendly. But I have a lot of customers who simply. And they're my customers who simply don't know much about birds. Yeah. And I think if you keep a yard list, instead of just looking at the birds, you'll try to focus to identify it. So we have a little contest at the store, kind of like a watered-down version of the mystery bird, where we take the actual photo of the bird, nothing complicated, and if the people guess it right, they get a piece of saltwater taffy. We started this because we ended up with saltwater taffy, and we had to try to find a way to get rid of it.
Wow! Like so whole piece, they get a whole piece of saltwater. Holy
and if it's a family, they have to share it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how my customers, how many common birds they don't know. And we had a family of 5 adults who spent 20 minutes trying to figure out a mourning dove. And so if you keep a list of the birds, instead of just saying, oh, there's a bird, you'll pay attention. You'll try to figure out the difference between a downy and a hairy woodpecker, or a house and a purple finch, or a goldfinch and a siskin, or the red-bellied woodpecker and a flicker. You work on that, and that'll get you to focus a little bit more on the birds in your yard. That's what my New Year's resolution will be. So when you come into my store and you see an American robin, you don't spend 20 minutes looking in the book trying to figure it out. You know what's going on.
Well, yeah.
And it's just kind of a simple for the. Now, this is not for the Gino Wellstons, the hardcore birders in the world. These are the people who don't, maybe don't pay attention, like David Clapp.
Like David Clapp, for a perfect example.
Right. He just barely knows his birds well. This would be perfect. So you grab your book, you look at it, and then at the end of this, as you're trying to make your list a little bit longer, you might spend more time trying to figure out the song sparrow, the chipping sparrow, and you'll be surprised at the end of that, you might get a piece of saltwater taffy someday.
Boy, that is an incentive. Or maybe, I wonder, maybe you should just, if people don't know the birds, don't allow them to buy anything.
Okay, we're not going that far.
That wouldn't work.
Right, that's a bad idea.
I don't know. What was I thinking? No, that's not even. All right, Mike, thank you, and Happy New Year. And we'll
Happy New Year to all your listeners.
Talk to you next week.
Got it.
There he is, Mike O'Connor at the famous Birdwatchers General Store, where the saltwater taffy is waiting while supplies last. Let's see, we're back to the Mystery Bird Contest, and here's the bird. A small songbird with a rusty brown crown, a gray head, and a rust-colored eye stripe, 2 white wing bars, and a rather long tail, a rusty brown back with dark streaks, buff-colored sides, and a gray belly with a small dark spot in the center. And Tom is in Weymouth, Massachusetts, I think, with an answer for us or a guess. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Good morning, Ray. Yes, I believe it's the palm warbler.
The palm warbler, and our panel with the trumpet says it is not a palm warbler. But thank you for that. That was a very enthusiastic guess, Tom. I got to give you that. But will you try us again, Tom?
Sure.
I mean,
Very good.
Not today, but next time.
Yes, next time. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom,
Okay.
with a guess of a palm warbler. And what else do we have for a guest? We have Ted. He's in Massachusetts as well, in the great city of Lynn. Good morning. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning, Ray. How's it going?
Going well. How are you doing, Ted?
I'm doing good today.
All right. And maybe even better with a correct answer, possibly on that mystery bird thing there.
The American tree sparrow.
The American tree sparrow, the way he said that was so confident. He knew it was right. He knew it. American tree sparrow is correct. You want to hear something really interesting about the American tree sparrow? I'm going to tell you anyway.
Sure.
A study found that the American tree sparrow seems to prefer to look for predators out of its left eye, a preference that may be because the right hemisphere of the brain is dominant for processing visual information, so it does that reverse thing. However, oddly enough, dark-eyed juncos examined in the same study preferred to look out of their right eyes. So go figure. We need to do more research on this, I can see. But kind of something fascinating there about those two birds. Well, Ted, you know what? We have time for a bonus question if you'd like to give it a try. And if you get this right, we have a beautiful feather-friendly kit to make sure birds are not crashing into your windows. Would you like to try this?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Okay, this is another conservation-related question. In an effort to reduce carbon emissions, as well as to meet the rising demand for delivery services and alleviate pressure on drivers during an ongoing labor shortage, Japan, we had a thing about Japan last week, I think. Anyway, Japan has created an innovative roadway design. The roadway will stretch 320 miles between Osaka and Tokyo. Our question is, multiple choice, what is the innovation involved in this new roadway? Is it A, the roadway has magnetic coils embedded within so electric vehicles can charge as they drive? B, the roadway has super smooth pavement that will reduce friction dramatically? C, the roadway itself moves like a conveyor belt, so there's no driving at all? Or D, the roadway is designed so that it's downhill in both directions? Those are your choices there, Ted. What do you think?
I'm going to go with A.
A, magnetic coils embedded so they can charge as they drive. I know that's a technology that's being explored in a lot of places, but in this case, that wasn't it. In this case, the roadway itself moves like a conveyor belt, so there's no driving at all. You just kind of relax in your car and let the road do all the work. There it is.
That's amazing.
It is pretty amazing. Ted, thank you so much. Stay on the line. We'll get your info and send you those prizes for the mystery bird.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ted, correctly identifying the American tree sparrow. Coming up next, we'll have our next show. That'll be in a week from today. But just very quickly, and we'll do more about this next week, thank you so much to all our Patreon contributors, and a special thanks to Wink from Atlanta, Georgia, for his special contribution to the show. Thanks to our amazing Talking Birds team, Debbie Bleacher, Freya McGregor, Jesse Wilkins. I'm Ray Brown. Happy New Year, and see you next week.
Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com. By Feathersnap, the smart bird feeder with a high-resolution camera and species identification software aimed to educate and spread joy to every level of avian enthusiast. Learn more at feathersnapcam.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty, their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.